I'll be the first one to admit that the city building genre was just one that never really made sense to me for the longest time. While growing up it seemed like everyone was playing some sort of sim game or whatever the latest tycoon release was, it just never really resonated with me until I played the game They Are Billions, and life sim games like Stardew Valley. Since then, while I don't really rush to the latest release, I've gotten more interest in the genre and I wanted to make a video about some new, some old, and some upcoming city builders that scratch that SimCity itch that I know many people out there have. So without any further ado, and in no particular order, let's jump on in to see if one of these will stand out for you. Well, if you clicked on this video, then you should expect a lot from the publisher Hooded Horse, given their recent explosion into popularity, and the first game representing them to make this list is likely their most critically acclaimed one, and that is Manor Lords. The game developed by Slavic Magic sees you settling a medieval village and having to expand and defend your territory from raiders and your neighbors. With an in-depth system of growth requiring crop rotation to prevent soil exhaustion and other systems at play like taxation, weather systems, and deforestation, there's plenty to keep you busy when you aren't managing your army. With organic building in mind, you will start to expand outwards with roads that curve their way through your village, giving you that extra realism aspect of it all. Sitting at an 87% approval rating on Steam, it is definitely a great place to start if you haven't checked out the game that really seems to have brought life back into the genre. Did the last game seem interesting to you, but lacked that level of granularity that you really want to tackle as the head of a kingdom? Well then, this next game may be just what you need. In Norland, you play as the head of a noble family in a medieval colony where you must face off against class conflict, religious struggle, and political treachery. Another title being brought to you courtesy of Hooded Horse, the developers at Long Jaunt took a more cartoon-style approach to the graphics, but that shouldn't fool you into thinking that this is for a younger audience. Each person who inhabits your kingdom has a set of personality traits that can drastically change how they impact the growth of your kingdom, and the addition of needing at least one person with intelligence to read books in order to gain access to new buildings and resources is a neat touch to ensure that you don't just brute force your way into new territory. While still in early access, there's a ton to enjoy, but the devs have also teased a roadmap for 2025 that includes an improved HUD as well as betrayal mechanics like conspiracies and usurpers that can threaten your kingdom. If you enjoy games like RimWorld, then this one might be worth checking out when you get a chance. What if you enjoyed the medieval aesthetics but didn't really want to deal with all the political intrigue and combat? Then you'd probably end up with the game Foundation. Releasing earlier this year, Foundation takes the laid-back medieval city building game to a new level by adding an extra layer of charm. There's just something enjoyable about watching the expansion of your town as each person goes about their days, but make sure to keep an eye on the overall happiness of your town, otherwise you will start to see those people moving on to other settlements. While watching gameplay footage of this game, part of me wished that there had been some sort of combat system involved, but as I kept watching, I really don't think it has a home for it in this game. The cozy vibes this game gives off is something that you'll either really enjoy or want to pass on, but for those who will give it a chance, you will easily sink plenty of hours into decorating and growing a small village into a fully developed city. Now I know I said that you should expect a ton of Hooded Horse games on this list, but I went ahead and only limited myself to 3 entries, otherwise the entire list would really just be games that they published. So the last one to make it to this list is the upcoming Nova Roma. Taking the approach that Foundation took, this game is looking to avoid combat in favor of a more cozy vibe for bringing the glory of Rome to your fingertips. Meeting the needs of your citizens isn't as easy as it seems, as some aspects that make it stand out from previous entries on this list involve the intricate aqueduct system and damming of rivers alongside some sort of system revolving around appeasing the gods lest you feel their wrath. With no official release date, it may be a while before we get our hands on it, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't put it on your radar. If you thought the previous entry was interesting but missed the true power of Roman combat, then maybe you should check out Roman Triumph Survival City Builder. Releasing into early access on April 3rd, this city builder sees you on the northern fringes of the empire as barbarians and mythology surround you. You must settle a new Roman city and defend it from the hordes of enemies that will attack you, ranging from berserkers to dragons. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, there's dragons and hydras in this game alongside what I can only assume are more creatures of mythology. At first it seemed a bit ridiculous as I played the demo, but I really started to enjoy the game, and while my first playthrough wasn't super successful thanks to the fact that I made a series of bad decisions like neglecting to build a hospital and letting disease sweep through my city, I immediately wanted to fire up the next game and give it another go. A system of appeasing various gods will either add buffs or debuffs that will greatly impact your progression. And while the terrain on the map is procedurally generated, you must use it to your advantage so that you can settle this inhospitable land and be able to be granted a Roman triumph. Gaining off the ground and up into space, we have the game Ixion. Created by Bulwark Studios, who brought you the game Warhammer 40k Mechanicus, Ixion is set during a time of crisis for humanity. Set on the space station the Tycoon, you play as an administrator whose voyage inadvertently doomed humanity upon takeoff. You are tasked with balancing preservation and exploration as you manage infrastructure, resources, and crew. I will say that most of the reviews are mixed, with those who really like it loving the experience, but it does seem hampered with a few issues like some bugs that just haven't been fixed yet. But if you catch it on a sale, you can pick it up for relatively cheap, so keep your eye on it if it seems like something you would be interested in. Crashing back to reality with the more likely futuristic outcome to humanity gives us the game Neongarten. Influenced by games like Luck Be a Landlord, this game looks to create an almost shantytown look for a city block, with each building generating revenue that's used to pay off taxes. While less in depth than other games on this list, Neongarten will be looking to give you that quick gameplay that has become popular within recent times, with all the randomness having you come back for more, so check it out when it releases sometime soon. Every list I make will have a choice selected from the users on my Discord server, so if you want to help influence what makes it on the future list, then head on over with the link below. But the chosen game for this list is Gordlitz. This extremely cozy city builder sees you building a town inhabited by vegetable folks. Being marketed as a game with no real objectives, it truly lets you play however you want, and it also just lets you enjoy the village you've created for your little friends, and as you welcome new vegetables, you can watch their leaves on their head bloom into other flowers as they interact with your village, which earns you new features to add to your island. For a game that sells for $5, this really does feel like a great game to put on to de-stress after you've been through a long day. If the last game had the right vibes but was lacking in direction in your opinion, then maybe you'd like this game that takes heavy inspiration from the classic series Pikmin, and that is the game Oddsparks: An Automation Adventure. This game, brought to you by the team at Massive Mini Team, sees you utilizing sparks to harvest resources and create automation to help the local community, explore the fantasy world, and uncover the mysteries of the past. With the upcoming 1.0 release, you'll see it coming to consoles soon, but in the meantime, the devs have added a ton of new content to keep you busy. I created a demo diving for this game a while ago, so head on over there with a link up top to see what I had to say about it if this interests you. So now let's jump on over to the world of magic with the next game on this list, and that is the game Mind Over Magic. This colony sim game is set on the site of a cursed magic school where you must build your magical academy, train powerful mages, and master mighty relics in order to battle the Underschool, a mysterious underground dungeon that holds the key to free you from a deadly curse. With a striking art style, this game looks to dazzle you with all it has to offer, whether that be the vast customization available to you or the ability to fight through a turn-based combat system. This game has drastically changed since being in early access, and fellow YouTuber Dorian the Explorian created a video about this game a while ago, which I highly recommend checking out to see if this is something for you. If you have the desire to lead your own cult to bring about a world where the line between sanity and madness blends, then maybe you should be playing the next game on this list. Worshippers of Cthulhu is an early access game where human toil is one of the main resources you need to utilize in order to spread the word of your monstrous overlord, with the ultimate goal to be awakening them. But be wary, as the old one only tolerates a strong cult, so you must manage your workers correctly if you want to see your hopes come to life. How you treat non-believers is up to you, whether you want to conquer them, pillage, sacrifice, or convert them, as long as you're able to endure the horrors you unleash. Most games revolving around Lovecraftian lore tend to see you facing these fears, however it is a nice change of pace to see one where you're playing the opposite side, so check this one out if you have what it takes to bring forth the old one. Up next we got the sequel to a game that put another developer/publisher on the map, and that is the game Frostpunk 2, but really I should just go ahead and put both of these games on this list. The first Frostpunk was a grueling challenge that took you to your limits as you helped to settle a world that's kind of similar to how the world is portrayed in the film Snowpiercer. The sequel has garnered some backlash due to its departure from the first game, as it looks to add more of a 4X style element to the game. I can understand some of the complaints because both games do play fairly differently from one another, but I do think what they have done with this new game has actually been done pretty well. And I can applaud the team at 11-Bit Studio for looking to bring even more ideas while taking a more story-based approach. And given that the games that 11-Bit Studio has come out with recently, there's no doubt that the story to this one will be one of the strongest aspects of the game. Either one of these games will be worth your time, so check them out when you can, but remember that the first one does go on sale for around $5 fairly often, and that is a great place to start if you don't mind the struggle that you will surely go through. When making this list, I realized how loose the term city builder was, and while I could have easily filled the list with 18 copies of the same game, I wanted to branch out and bring in the games that kinda skirt that line, which brings us to the game Nordhold. Having to manage your city by creating new buildings, housing more workers, and placing those workers to gather resources that are in turn used to create towers that hold off the hordes of enemies is a shockingly fun gameplay loop. I played the demo for a couple hours, and while the meta progression is mandatory in order to get further, I had a blast deciphering where exactly I should put those towers, what rewards would be the ones I tried to build around, and even how to best utilize the hero powers that could do something like instantly killing 5 non-boss enemies or showering down lightning. Each day pushes the start of the wave backwards a bit, but managing the winding path by placing your turrets in a way to maximize coverage is key, creating extra depth in the gameplay. If this interests you, check it out when it releases to early access next week to see if you can prove yourself worthy of claiming a place in Valhalla. Heading back to a more traditional style city builder, we reach Microtopia, a game where you become the hive mind of a robot ant colony. Taking heavy inspiration from games like Factorio, Microtopia sees you start with a queen ant, and before long we'll see you spreading your colony to encompass nearby islands by using your new technology to create new life forms for whatever you need. I will say that I think one of the neatest aspects of this game is the juxtaposition of organic and inorganic that is on display. Maybe it's just me, but it does seem like the world almost kind of has this aquatic vibe to it, but after laying down the pheromone trails for your ants to follow, it starts to give more of a blueprint vibe. Either way, it sits with a good rating on Steam, but with less than 500 reviews on it, it could be your next hidden gem if you give it a chance. The last of the upcoming games to grace this list is the game Hollywood Animal. In this game, you look to take on the helm of a major Hollywood studio at the dawn of sound cinema. It is up to you to guide your studio through the decades, with tough choices and unpleasant compromises being the price to pay for the glamour and debauchery present during this time period. You must compete with other studios that are also seeking to spread their influence and muscle you out of the scene, and it will take your unique touch on films you create to make you stand out from being just another film studio. Doing so successfully will allow you to score that big star or director for a film project, but be careful as money talks, and other studios can lure your talent away. If you want to get some revenge on the competition, you can even stoop so low as to pull a Tanya Harding, but be careful, as retaliation is always on the cards, and with corruption rampant, you will have to make the best choices you can to not only survive, but thrive. The last game on this list is the latest release, and that is the game 2 Point Museum. From the same studio that brought you 2 Point Campus and 2 Point Hospital, this game looks to be more of the same formula that has made the previous game successful, but place it in a museum. I know that must come as a shock given the name, but in all honesty, it brings the business sim to the forefront through dry humor, an in-depth system of generating income, and a simple yet impactful art style. I think the development team really put all of their experience into fully realizing this style of game, as it will likely resonate with those who enjoy the roller coaster tycoon style games from the 90s. And at the end of the day, who wouldn't want to run a museum that sees you bringing back the new discoveries to put on display? Make sure to check this one out if you're looking for that next game to sink a ton of hours into. But that was 16 city-style building games to keep you busy for a while. Were there any that stood out to you, or did I miss any of your favorites? Let me know in the comments below, and join the Discord if you want to influence what makes it to the next list. But with that, that'll be it for this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and as always, be kind to one another. Shoutouts go to Relativity, Naughty Dog is King, Chaos, and Kamikalo alongside all those subbed to the channel. Please consider subscribing if you haven't, as it helps the channel grow, and I will see you soon.